Hey guys, today I'm working on a 2002 Honda Civic EX with the 1.7 liter engine, and I'm dealing with a crank but no start problem. So I turned the ignition on and you should hear fuel pump run for 2 to 3 seconds, and I did not hear that. So I came here to the engine bay. I just pulled the air intake off just to look for anything obvious. So I pulled the coil off. It's just one bolt. This pulls out. It looks like this. And I pulled a spark plug out to see if it's wet or whatnot. And they're bone dry, so I just did a second one just to verify. And yeah, sure enough, we're not getting any fuel. So I'll give you a quick rundown of the electrical, what you could check to verify if your fuel pump is working. All right, so you're gonna have to come over to the passenger side. You could lower the glove compartment. I've already removed the locks that are installed here. And you just depress these two tabs, and fairly simple. And inside here, you'll have two main relays, relay 1 and 2. They're called PGM FI 1 and 2. So relay 2 is your fuel pump, and it works in conjunction with relay 1. So you'll want to verify that both of those are good. I just verified they worked by holding your finger on one and turning the ignition on, and you can hear it click. And I just did that with both of them, but if you're in doubt, just swap them out with a different relay that fits in the car or get new ones. All right, so on the driver's side here, up underneath, there's a panel. I've already removed it, but it's two locking tabs. You just twist and pull. And on the back of that panel, there's a fuel pump fuse you'll want to check. So second row up from the bottom, 4 in, 3, 4. So we'll take a look at that. So second row, just need to focus here. So second row up, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a blue fuse, 15 amp right there. So I've already removed it and checked it. It's good, but if it is bad, you'll want to replace it. Okay, so for the purpose of the video, I've already removed the rear seat, but very simple to do. You basically come in here, separate the cushion here, and you'll see a 10mm bolt that goes into that. Remove that, and then you grab the front of the cushion, pull it up. There's two tabs here, and it comes right out of there. So, and then you'll expose this tin cover, which sits like this. There's four screws. Remove that, and then that will give you access to the fuel pump. So I'll show you how to test the fuel pump. All right, so I have my multimeter connected to the electrical connector here. If you wanted to initially put the connector back into the socket here and then remove the fuel line, you just press in and the line comes out. Then you can turn the ignition on, and you should have fuel spray out of there for 2 seconds. It'll make a mess if it does work, but so you'll want rags or whatnot. But I tried that and I did not get any fuel, so I know it's fuel pump issue or an electrical issue of some sort still. So I've set my multimeter up to test for power. You should see 12 volts on this connector. So we're looking for a yellow and green wire, which is right there. So I have my red lead going into that pin. And then straight across from it, it's a focus here. This one right here. It's your ground, so I have my ground lead going in there. So now when you'll turn the ignition on, don't start, just the ignition on, you should see 12 volts that it's getting power. So I'll go do that right now. Okay, so I have my multimeter connected to the connector still, and we're going to check for 12 volts DC at the connector, and you'll see it for about 1 or 2 seconds, because that's only how long the pump runs for initially to prime the fuel system. So when I turn the ignition on, do not start it, and we'll see if we have 12 volts. And there you go, we have 12 volts at the connector. So I'm leaning towards it's a fuel pump issue, but there's one more test we can check. Okay, so we're on to the last test here. It's the continuity or the beep test, and that is the symbol on the multimeter. So I have my black lead connected to the connector. It's the bottom right pin, and it's directly across from that yellow and green wire that we were doing tests on earlier. So that's a front view. You should be able to find it. For my red lead, I'm going to ground. So they do suggest that you find the ground from this harness. It runs underneath the seat and connects to a multi-point ground. But a ground's a ground, and if it's good, if the harness is good, you should be able to ground it on a frame ground like a bolt, or just make sure it's a good connection. And so we'll give that a shot. If it does beep, the harness is good. We have continuity. If not, then the harness is bad. So we'll give that a shot. So we do have continuity. That means the harness is good and the fuel pump is bad.